Welcome to a deep dive into the darkest corners of human psychology. Today, we are going to explore the most potent, most dangerous psychological techniques that people use to control, manipulate, and dominate others in everyday life. We will break down exactly how these tricks work, why our brains are helpless against them, and most importantly, how you can defend yourself. First, let us examine the concept of gaslighting. Gaslighting is the ultimate form of psychological warfare. It is a slow, methodical process of making someone question their own sanity, their memory, and their perception of reality. It starts with small things. You might put your keys on the counter, and the manipulator moves them. When you ask if they saw your keys, they will look at you with total conviction and say, "No, you always lose things, you probably left them in the car." Over time, these small incidents build up. You start to doubt yourself. The three most common phrases gaslighters use are, "You're being too sensitive, I never said that," and, "You're crazy, everyone else agrees with me." By isolating you and making you doubt your own mind, the manipulator becomes the only source of reality you can trust. To defend against gaslighting, you must keep written records of events, trust your gut instinct, and never let someone else dictate your truth. Next, we look at the door-in-the-face technique, a devastatingly effective negotiation and compliance trick. Human beings are deeply uncomfortable with rejection and conflict. When a manipulator wants something from you, they will intentionally start by asking for something so outrageous that they know you will say no. For example, they might ask to borrow $5,000. When you refuse, you naturally feel a slight pang of guilt for rejecting them. The manipulator immediately follows up with their true request, "Okay, can I just borrow $50 then?" Your brain perceives this massive drop as a generous concession on their part. To alleviate the guilt from the first rejection, you immediately agree to the second request. You think you won, but they got exactly what they wanted from the start. Another powerful mechanism is the scarcity principle. This dictates that human beings only desire what they cannot easily have. If you are always available, always texting back instantly, and always saying yes to plans, your perceived value plummets. You become a commodity. People instinctively respect what is difficult to obtain. To command respect and attraction, you must manufacture scarcity. Take longer to reply. Decline invitations, even if you have no other plans. Make people fight for a spot on your calendar. When your presence becomes a rare and exclusive prize, people will crave it entirely. Now, let us discuss the Benjamin Franklin effect. Most people believe that if they want someone to like them, they should do favors for that person. But psychology proves the exact opposite is true. If you want someone to like you, make them do a favor for you. When a person helps you, their brain experiences cognitive dissonance. It thinks, "I just went out of my way to help this person, therefore I must genuinely like them." By asking for small, easy favors like borrowing a pen or asking for a quick piece of advice, you subconsciously trick their brain into liking you more, creating an invisible bond of loyalty. The halo effect is another bias that controls almost every aspect of society. Our brains are incredibly lazy, preferring quick shortcuts over deep analysis. When we see one positive trait in a person, such as physical attractiveness, we automatically assume they possess other positive traits like intelligence, kindness, competence, and honesty. This is why attractive people consistently receive lighter prison sentences, higher salaries, and more promotions. We are biologically hardwired to trust beauty, making the halo effect one of the easiest biases for charismatic manipulators to exploit. They dress impeccably, maintain perfect grooming, and project confidence, causing everyone around them to blindly trust their intentions. Moving on to the realm of power dynamics, we have the strategic use of silence. In any high-stakes negotiation or confrontation, the person who speaks first is almost always the one who loses. When an offer is made, or a question is asked, the most powerful response is to look the other person in the eyes and remain completely silent. Human beings are deeply, profoundly uncomfortable with conversational dead air. To break the agonizing silence, the other person will almost always begin to negotiate against themselves. They will lower their price, offer better terms, or reveal hidden information, all just to fill the quiet void. Silence is the most intimidating weapon in your arsenal. We must also talk about the law of reciprocity. This is the dark art of creating psychological debt. If you want to control someone, do them a massive, unprompted favor when they are vulnerable. Pay for their dinner, fix a major problem for them, or cover for a mistake they made at work. Their subconscious will immediately register an overwhelming sense of guilt and indebtedness. They will feel biologically obligated to repay you. When you eventually ask for a massive favor in return, they will be entirely incapable of saying no. You have essentially purchased their compliance for the future. Furthermore, consider the dark application of strategic incompetence. In the corporate world, being exceptionally good at your job does not earn you a promotion, it simply earns you more work. If you are highly efficient at a menial, soul-crushing task, your reward is being forced to do that exact task for everyone else forever. To avoid becoming the office workhorse, you must pretend to be terrible at the tasks you hate doing. Do them slowly, ask far too many questions, and mess them up just slightly enough to be annoying. Eventually, management will stop asking you, freeing your time for high-value, visible work that actually leads to promotion and power. Another profound technique is the Zeigarnik effect, which explains why ghosting is so psychologically damaging. The human brain cannot handle unfinished business. When a relationship, a conversation, or a dynamic is suddenly cut off without closure, the brain goes into a state of hyperarousal. It constantly loops the memories, obsessively looking for answers that simply do not exist. By refusing to give someone closure, you trap their mind in a permanent state of obsession. They cannot move on because the brain refuses to close the psychological file. This is why manipulators use silent treatment and sudden withdrawal to establish dominance and make their victims chase them. Let's look at the decoy effect. If you want to force someone to pick a specific option, you must control the context in which they make their choice. Human beings cannot judge absolute value, they can only compare things to other things. If you want someone to buy the expensive package, do not just offer a cheap one and an expensive one. Add a third, decoy option that is absurdly overpriced and offers terrible value. Suddenly, the expensive option that you actually wanted them to pick looks like a fantastic deal by comparison. You have framed their reality to make your desired outcome seem like their own brilliant idea. Finally, we explore the pratfall effect. Never try to appear completely perfect, as it makes people secretly resent you. Perfection is intimidating, alienating, and makes others feel deeply insecure about their own flaws. When a highly competent person makes a small, clumsy mistake, like spilling their coffee, tripping over their words, or admitting a minor fault,